The Disney Star Wars stans, the Raylos, the access media, the mainstream media, they've all got it wrong. They all think that anyone who disagrees with them is an Eric Cartman. And that's what they believe as they say, South Park Into the Panderverse is mocking all those they disagree with. And we're just sitting here, like Kyle and Stan, the voices of reason, realizing Star Wars just sucks. And that is the genius behind South Park Into the Panderverse. We'll talk about it right now. Trey Parker and Matt Stone have come out firing and swinging when it comes to Disney, but did they land the jokes? That's what we're about to determine here, folks, as we dive into the Panderverse, where I suppose it can be said now that Kathleen Kennedy is a household name. But it's not just that Kathleen Kennedy is a household name. It's not just that we watched Eric Cartman falling into an endless tunnel with the Disney stock arrow. But no, it goes beyond that, because this special of South Park, which may continue on and is seemingly exceedingly popular, it also does something remarkable, and that is, it is perhaps the funniest thing that I have watched in years. It is South Park at its finest, and I will dare say that it is genius. We'll talk about the genius, and I'm looking forward to it very much. Let's start here, Stephen and Tommy. You both have seen South Park Into the Panderverse
twice.
I want to talk about the B story, because this is what is so impressive about this. We'll set the Kathleen Kennedy thing to the side for the moment. The B story here is that the residents of the world no longer know how to do anything because they have become addicted to artificial intelligence in their phones. And that means that Randy Marsh cannot fix the oven door. Now, you would think that this is some sort of throwaway thing. You would think that the big deal here is Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, etc., and it is. But this is the level of genius that's being put into this, is that from that small gag comes this battle royale between the handyman, who become the richest people on the planet because nobody knows how to do anything anymore, and the handyman, which, by the way, the handyman character is so funny. So funny. And how they come up with new characters all the time, I don't know. But this turns into a metaphor for Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk, even to the point that the handymen are battling it out in space and buying Instagram and social media companies. Guys, what did you think of the B story, which should not be the focus, but it's freaking hilarious?
I thought it was great. Like you begin with the story and you have the door and you have the handyman come and you're kind of thinking like, well, where are they going with this? Like, I want to see more of the whole, Black woman Cartman saga and whatnot. And then it just kind of like, in the words of Ron Burgundy, it escalated quickly.
So great.
I read that as more of a Musk versus Bezos thing at the end of it, though, just because they both had their own space rockets trying to fly to Mars.
I think it works both ways.
Yeah.
It's either Zuckerberg versus Musk, or it is Bezos versus Musk, or it's just an amalgamation of all of it. But it's genius. And it's true because, okay, so not only that, but then Randy Marsh leads the men, and take note, folks, there's no women in this. No, there are women in the episode. There's no women in this movement. But Randy Marsh leads the men to go attack a college because the college now is worthless. Their college educations have become worthless. And that is an indictment on academia and what it has become. So that's even better. Stephen, did you enjoy the catapult?
Which part? The assembly or the window?
Well, the fact that they could not put the catapult together, it was still in the shipping box, so they had to wait for a handyman to come and put their catapult together so they could attack the college that didn't help them become handymen.
My favorite, I think, was when they were hanging outside the Home Depot. I'm going to call it a Home Depot. And even the guys in the trucks, they're like, you're embarrassing yourselves. You're embarrassing us right now. Can you go home? It was so good.
Yes, it was great. And also notice there were no women in that. I think there's some social commentary there as well from Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
There was an ongoing joke, though, with the wife, though, about stuff. I don't know if they're
working on it, Sharon.
I don't know if they're pushing like a nag thing, or that she wasn't listening to him. But yeah, it was just It was good.
It was great. It was really, really great. And I think that speaks to just how good this episode was, is that even the B story was fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sorry, I
Tommy.
was just gonna say, like, that's just classic South Park, right? I mean, at the end of it, you've got Randy Marsh about to enter into a wormhole in his oven door, and the wife, his wife is just providing a sense of normalcy, carrying the laundry, saying, "Have you fixed it yet?" He's like, "I'm busy."
you know what's funny is South Park has been around so long that there's been a wormhole in the past before. That wormhole was not in the same place, I'll tell you that. This time it was in an oven. All right, so let's talk about the takedown of Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, and more. And just to remind everybody out there, for 2 minutes of this episode, they had Eric Cartman suggest that he sent tens of thousands of letters of hate mail to Kathleen Kennedy. And there are folks out there saying that is representative of the haters of Star Wars. That was commentary. Listen, if you wipe the floor with a company and with a woman for 40 minutes, and you then take 2 minutes to make your most loathsome character be the one who shakes hands with her, folks, you don't understand how South Park works if you think that they were taking on those who dislike Star Wars and what's happened to it. The actual voices of reason, of course, Stan and Kyle, and they remained true. But Stephen, walk us through what happens in South Park, the main story here, and tell us, what do you think were the funniest parts of it?
Honestly, I think the opening was pretty much the best, because it just right away it's digging in at, this doesn't hold back. People, I know I've been watching this on Twitter and even in my own threads, is that there seems to be this ongoing like argument on which side is the right side of history, even within South Park. But this is a dig at everyone. It's digging at the whole objective conversation and attacks of fandom, and how both arguments are supposed to sound stupid. You're supposed to look at it as like an objective thing. It's not one side is right and one side is wrong. It's saying it's all nuts, and they just keep pushing it, because Cartman is pretty much, you don't want to identify with Cartman, yet you kind of do, because he's making valid points. And meanwhile, you're seeing Disney executives that are hiding under the bed because you're afraid you're going to be swapped with a diverse woman, because we've been seeing this with little, like the diversity swaps, whether it be Little Mermaid, Hawkeye, or anything like that, because it makes sense, because that has been the trend, whether it be 5 to 7 to 10 years. And it's showing that with every type of swap, whether it be in a gender ideology, a race ideology, a religious ideology, they've all been tanking more and more, losing to make money. And that's the whole point of this, is that the argument is stupid, but it's valid at the same time. And it's mocking the loudest voices that are trying just to say everything is this and everything is that, and it's not. And it's brilliant.
Could you believe that they actually had Eric Cartman falling through an endless tunnel of despair with the Disney stock price arrow? I mean, I feel
Bob
like
Iger.
I feel like these guys have been watching some videos out there. I don't know which videos they've been watching. Maybe it's Valiant Renegade, but they seem to understand what's happened to Disney very well.
But they even opened up with the Disney logo as South Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
Oh my God. It's just, I don't, sorry, I get a little excited about this, because I love the pop
No, I'm
culture
with
battle
you,
for
Stephen.
doing this.
I thought this was the funniest thing that I have watched in years. Particularly every time that Cartman jumped through a window to escape Kathleen Kennedy, I laughed till I cried. And I don't usually do that, but I laughed until I had tears in my eyes at him leaping through the window to get away from Kathleen Kennedy. It was so funny.
Do you realize he jumped through the window and broke the glass while the window right beside was open?
Yes, I do. And the other great thing, Stephen, was it reminded me, I think it was from the Honey Boo Boo episode from like a decade ago, where he squealed like a pig when he jumped away. So I was expecting the piggy squeal, but it never happened. But it was so funny. Oh my gosh. And of course, I love the Baldur's Gates references. I loved that Butters is still grounded in Butters' world. I love that Butters' dad in the multiverse is, well, let's just say a special kind of dad. I don't know what else we can say on here. I mean, we can't even hardly talk about the episode because of where we are on this platform. And I love that Paramount is a company that is led by someone who is utterly woke. And this is on Paramount. And I don't know what they must think of the fact that this is on there. And I don't know what they must think of the fact that it's going to go crazy good. And that the message is not to be radical on either side. I mean, this is so funny to me.
I think there was a deal.
Yeah.
I think
What do you mean there's a deal?
I think there was a deal. If you don't attack Star Trek in this special, we won't say anything.
Well, there you go.
Leave Star Trek alone. Yes.
Because the Star Trek is like right. It could have been fitting right in there too, but they didn't do that at all.
They never mentioned Star Wars, but you saw all that paraphernalia in the background all the time, like the helmet, the lightsaber,
KK's mug.
Yeah.
They were on it. Yes, absolutely. Did anybody else think that Kenny in the Multiverse was Sabine?
I think Kenny was hotter, actually.
Well, yeah, probably so.
I think Kenny was hotter as a princess in the earlier episodes. I think.
Now, there's been some criticism that they let Bob Iger off easy. I don't think that's the case because at the end of the episode, when Kathleen Kennedy says, "You know what? From now on, we're going to release original content and we're not going to pander," Bob Iger says, "Well, sure we are." I think that Bob Iger was hit plenty hard in this episode.
That's the thing, absolutely, because you notice even when he's interacting with the Cartman version of Kathleen Kennedy, he's always subservient to them. He's always listening to them, and it's making it like the entire episode made it seem as though it was Kathleen Kennedy who was, basically running the show over him. And for someone with an ego like his, I can only imagine how much that would stick in his craw. Like, I mean, most of the people who are watching this show probably don't really even know who Bob Iger is, right?
Tommy, maybe if they do this again, and why wouldn't they? If they do this again, maybe they can get Two Shower Bob references in.
Oh God,
I am not doing that thumbnail.
Trey, Matt, if you're watching, please.
I am not doing that thumbnail. I'm not
Make him pet a hippo. We beg you.
Can we talk about the police officers for a second, too?
Oh my gosh, sure, go for it. Absolutely.
He still had a mustache and the same voice, and they made him what? I think it was Latino.
I don't know.
Oh my God!
Mrs. Garrison returned.
The look on Cartman's face everywhere he goes in that universe, where there's nobody who looks like him. Yeah, the look that he has is like pure death.
The cops, when they come to pick him up, and then when he's sitting in class, and they're like, "We're here to talk more about the patriarchy and how women's rights."
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey."
and they're in a universe where there aren't any men. So why would you even talk about the patriarchy?
Why? Okay, that's the weird part. Do you notice that they kept calling the female protagonists that were dad?
Yes.
They kept pulling that too.
Yep. Well, it was truly, truly great. I wish it had gone longer, which is the sign that it's something fantastic. And I suspect that given the ratings and given the fact that I think that Trey Parker and Matt Stone want to open more Casa Bonitas, and we've got that based on some loan information that we've picked up. But I think based on all of that, it's not going to be a shock to me if they continue to do this, take on Disney. This is insanely popular, and it has now taken what we've been talking about for years and put it into the cultural zeitgeist in a way that only Trey Parker and Matt Stone can do. I also want to say that they are uniquely positioned and necessary because they can say things that no one else can. And I mean that, like other shows would be canceled immediately. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but I don't think that any other show would be allowed to start and do this. So there are no new shows that can do this. They get to do it because they've done it for so long and because they have the fan base built up, and corporations love cash. Bottom line.
Yeah.
But that's why they are the only ones who can do this. And thank goodness they're doing it, because if they didn't, nobody else would. Well, gentlemen, your final thoughts on the review, and then we're going to give our scores on this.
Well, I mean, for me, I found that this was remarkable in the sense that the work that you do, Pro, the work that you do, Fat Steven, the stuff that you do on YouTube here, you kind of feel at times that it's a little bit of off to the corner of things, right? It's a lot of like you, Valiant Renegade, you're talking about Disney, the latest that comes out in terms of movies and TV and how it's not really all that great, lame, you could say. And you think to yourself at times that okay, this is really kind of off the beaten path. Not like people don't really know about this too much. And in fact, a lot of people often gaslight about that. I mean, I hate using that word, but it's true. You know, they say, oh, no, like this stuff that you're kind of noticing for the last couple of years, it's not really happening. You're just being paranoid or what have you. But then you've got something like this comes out and it, like you said, Pro, it hits every single point that you've been talking about for the last few years. Like, I mean, Disney, the stock price, Kathleen Kennedy, like Bob Iger, all of that. It's almost like validation that, you know, the things that everyone has been dismissive of, that your channel has been raising, that Valiant's been raising, that all the other sort of, you know, streamers on YouTube have been raising, they are like, people are paying attention, and it is turning into the mainstream. And like this episode for me, I felt was just, you know, vindication almost. Like, in not so much in that, you know, the message of you were right, because at the end, of course, they say, you know, you want to, you know, balance both sides, and the extremes on both sides are obviously not desirable. But the very fact that they even had an episode like this, that they were talking about Kathleen Kennedy hiding under your bed, like that's incredible, on South Park, on Paramount Plus. Like, that's nuts.
And, you know, Tommy, as I said, 2 minutes are taken to talk about that point as we watch a particular raid happen here. Yeah, there were about 2 minutes spent on that. Cartman, of course, being the one who is learning the lesson. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I'm Kyle and Stan. I think that those are the average people, and I think we hold that viewpoint. We don't have to be told that you have to, or that, you know, there's too far that you can take things. We know that, and so I don't think that joke is made about normal people talking about what has happened with Star Wars. In the same way that if you want a baseball player or a football player replaced when they're performing poorly, it doesn't mean that you want them to be harmed as a person. In the same way, we want Kathleen Kennedy to be replaced because she's not good at her job. But that doesn't mean that we hate the woman in some sort of loathsome way. We just know that, you know, if she was a real estate agent, she can't sell houses. But she's not a real estate agent. She's the manager of Star Wars, and she can't take us to a galaxy far, far away because she doesn't understand it. She just panders. Stephen, your thoughts on the review as we wrap this particular topic up?
I think they should have inserted more chicken and made it. Honestly, I think I think we're going to see a small tick for YouTube in general, for creators who have been covering this stuff for quite a while, because normies that are going to watch this that don't really pay attention are going to be like, has this really been going on? And they're going to do research, and they're going to find other channels. This one, Valiant's, they will probably find like Nerdrotic, Mauler ads, and they will start seeing the reviews, and they'll start actually probably taking a look at how media is, and whether or not they've become not complicit, but whether or not they just said that's good enough. And maybe it might change the mindsets of a few, because we've already seen how Disney is done in the socio-political platform, and it's not doing very well. And now you're seeing it being handled by South Park with those two guys, Parker and Stone, and they're highlighting how that socio-political platform has been affecting their mainstream media when it comes to their films, overspending and all that stuff. So I think it's going to come hand in hand.
Absolutely. All right. Tommy, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank South Park into the Panderverse?
I mean, the easy answer is to say 10 out of 10, right? So I don't want to go there, but definitely nothing below a 9. I thought it was, to be honest, I loved South Park when it first started. I watched it for quite a number of years, and then I kind of fell off. I wasn't really, I hadn't really sort of followed it too much in the last little while, but this is enough to make me want to go back and rewatch some of those specials and rewatch some of the seasons that I missed. So 9.5. Stephen,
what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I give it a 10 because I can't wait for the enragement to start happening over the next few days.
Yeah.
I want to bring in someone to rate this real quick. Culture Casino, scale of 1 to 10. What would you rate South Park into the Panderverse?
Oh, this is a 9.5. It was nearly perfect. I would have given it a 10, but I don't give almost anything a 10. It was
even your hair.
Chef's kiss.
I wish, you know what, Culture, speaking of chef, they should have done a female chef. We haven't seen chef in forever. They should have done a female chef when Cartman shows up into the other universe, and he could have, or she should have said, "Hello, children."
Oh, come on! They had City Woke.
City Woke was beautiful.
Oh, my
welcome to City
gosh.
Woke. Welcome to patriarchy. Oh, you want some tea?
I don't think there was a dull, non-referenced moment in the show.
It was packed. It was awesome.
Yeah.
My score for it is going to be a 9.8.
Ooh.
There are things that I could have, I can come up with stuff that would have made it better. I would have loved to have seen Evil Mickey show up. The ghost of Winnie the Pooh would have been great. I mean, I can come up with stuff, but I thoroughly had a great time. Now, I'm going to say this. This is something that Jonas and I talked about in the video from yesterday. I think that Paramount should offer the option for people to watch South Park episodes with the cursing bleeped. And this is why. I'm not trying to be prudish. This is something that has vast appeal, what they're doing.
Yeah.
But there are going to be segments of the population that are not going to watch it because of the profanities.
Right.
I wish that Paramount would offer the option. I'm not saying that that's how it should be watched. I'm saying offer the option, because there are lots of people out there who are of the same mindset of what's being talked about in these shows, but they're not going to watch it if there are 57 F-bombs in the first act. So I would be up for that to see if that increased the viewership even more. I think it's a good idea. But that, I think, gentlemen, is our review of South Park Into the Panderverse. It sounds like we're all of one accord that this was a tremendous show, and not just because it hit on the things that we have been talking about for so long. It was genuinely hilarious. It made me laugh until I cried. It was wonderful. So thank you to Trey Parker and Matt Stone for giving me such a good time. And if, in fact, they are mocking anyone here on this panel or any YouTuber out there with their last little 2 minutes, I don't care. I thought it was great, and we can take a joke here on the Pro channel, as can so many of our friends across YouTube.
This Halloween's definitely gonna be something.
Even after dead franchises like Marvel are like zombies, rotting corpses of their former glory. Dead, but still animated.
I wonder, are there any franchises with some afterlife qualities?
One Piece is almost vampiric, as it's sucking the life out of the competition. Yeah.
DC is kind of like Frankenstein's monster, with bits and pieces from everywhere and nothing is consistent.
I'm the ghost of Star Wars.
You know what would be a real treat this Halloween? Checking out WDW Pro. He's got all the sweet news on his Thursday live show at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Not to mention, his daily videos are a real treat.
Guys, I'm the ghost of Star Wars. Get it?
You know, we should go and make sure we're subscribed.
Guys, I'm the ghost of Star Wars.
And while we're at it, we'll ring that bell to make sure we're notified.
Great, let's go. Because, we actually care about that. Let's go.
Fact. Star Wars is not dead. It's haunting the staffs of Disney Plus.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.